Everyone, welcome to the biggest Bronco day ever. I'm doing the whole front end. That includes the Fab 4 Stubby bumper as well as the skid plate, the Warren VR Evo 10S, JCR Offroad's camera relocation kit, Bodyguard bumpers, ACC adapter relocation, as well as the Bronco LED, the Raptor style LED lights. So let's get into it. So the car jack that I got is rated to go to a maximum of 19 3/4 inches. And the axle stands I got are rated to 17.5 inch. The jack didn't go high enough to get the front tires off the ground for the Sasquatch. There's too much suspension droop, but with the 2x4 it lifted it enough that the wheels had a little bit of space underneath when it was all the way up. The jack stands are also about a 2x4 too short. So that gives you an idea of what kind of lift you need to get the front tires off the ground. There's a ton of other good YouTube videos out there on how to remove the bumper, but just quickly, there's some pop rivets that you take out to take these covers off, and then that exposes some screws or bolts. You take that off and the whole thing comes off. Just make sure you disconnect any wiring because there's going to be some wires connected to the bumper because of the parking sensors and whatnot. Just like the skid plate where you could remove it by yourself, same with the bumper. Apparently after you take off all the nuts, it'll hang in place and then you can kind of remove it by yourself, but hopefully that's right. I don't have a special tool to remove these plastic clips, so I'm just using a screwdriver. There's a little space in there. Just gonna pry it open just a little bit. Just so there's enough space to use my wife's gardening tool for weeds. There we go. Whoops. Anyways, I'm gonna move these clips off the top. First part to removing the grill. Okay, first casualty. I forgot to take off one of the screws, or I missed it before trying to pull off the grill. So I guess I'll epoxy it for now. At least it won't feel as bad when I go off-road and I scratch the truck. Okay, so this is where some of the installations overlap. I've taken off the front grill. You saw that crack that I made, unfortunately. I've taken the grill off to put the LED lights in, but here I have to remove these active shutters, the upper and the lower part, and that means taking off the lights as well, and that's only to reroute the wires for the ACC. So it's pretty involved just to do the ACC part. The reason I got the Bodyguard bumper adaptive cruise control relocation bracket is because it's direct bolt on. It uses these bolts, and all the other ones wanted you to cut into the louvers or like take them out. The thing is, I don't know if it'll work with the Fab 4's bumper because of the brush bar, but try it and see. One of the instructions I was following mentioned the 3 bolts, but didn't mention this one clip. So good thing I didn't pull too hard, but I'm gonna remove it now and pull out the light. There you go. Nice and light. Everything's off. That needs to be off except for the wheels for the JKS tire clearance kit. Tomorrow assembly starts. I'll say one thing, for the budding do-it-yourselfer, this little stool is one of the best accessories I've bought. The tool tray and somewhere to sit, it's perfect. So while it's raining outside, I'm doing a few things inside the garage. I've taken apart the inner grill section to make way for the LED lights, as well as preparing to take off the hose to relocate the camera to the fair lead. I've taken apart the adaptive cruise control. That's just the bracket, and I've added it to the Bodyguard bumpers relocation bracket. And if you guys have any questions while you're doing it yourself, you can always put in a comment and I'll be sure to answer. Use some epoxy to try to fix this crack. Oh well, it'll be hidden by the winch. yeah, that's it for now. We'll put together the winch and see if things look like they're going to line up with the adaptive cruise control and the camera relocation kit. Today we're going to start with the bumper, add on the winch and the lights, and then see if all those kind of mix and match parts will line up or not. So here are the lights in place. Very tight, but still a little place so I can adjust them if I need to. Just a quick note on the Fab Fours bumper. Really nice even welds, nice and juicy, nice and heavy duty. Just to give you a side-by-side comparison, the stock bumper is hefty in itself considering it's stock, but the Fab Fours is a significantly thicker gauge steel. So with the mounting bracket in place for the winch and the camera relocation bracket, it does clear, so it's all good. It works. It might not be the prettiest thing, but it works. There's been some discussion whether the Stubby bumper from Fab Fours is a tight fit for winches, and for at least the worn VR10S, it is. You have to push up against it to get the bolts in. It's a bit of a pain, but I got them in. There's a reason you do the winch before the lights, because to get to that inner bolt. But you know, I like to challenge myself and do it the hard way. Makes you grow as a person. I don't know if the threads are short or the tolerance is that tight, but I had to forego the flat washer and just use the locking washer in the front screws because it was impossible to get them all in. But they're all in now. The winch is mounted and the lights are on. I'm gonna do the camera now and we'll take it from there. Surely but slowly, I got the Bodyguard bumpers adaptive cruise control relocator bracket installed. It installs to the hood latch. But two things that come to mind. One is the reason this is just bolt on is that it sits behind the shutters, the active shutters. I didn't want to cut the active shutters for the other ones because it really controls airflow depending on the car's demand, the engine's demand, the speed, all those things. It takes into account and opens and closes those shutters. What I don't understand is at highway speeds, are they always open? How about if the shutters close? Maybe they are always open. Maybe that's why it works. But anyways, I got to level this out flat. I should have read ahead before I put all these things on my ramped driveway. But regardless, I'll figure it out. Try to get it as flat as possible. Because once it's in there, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. One other thing, I was going to try to take out these parking sensors and drill the new bumper out to adapt the sensors, but now that I'm into it, I don't want to bother. That would have added a lot of time to my build too. Okay, we're gonna go get into cutting the frame now. And before I was worried about cutting into the sheet metal, cutting the frame's a whole different thing. Took off the skid plate mounting bracket that holds the intercooler up. So I took that out now, doing one side at a time for the intercooler so it doesn't drop. Taking out the body mount bolt here, in here, and then brace the body up because it's going to be taken off the frame for a few minutes while I cut this piece off. I need to support the body off the frame so I can take the body mount off. I still got to figure that out. Things are 4 times harder when you're by yourself. Clean it off with a grinder and then put some rust paint on it just to clean it up. So what essentially that is, as well as this, is a crash bar mount. There's metal extensions that come out, but I guess they've taken them out for the Badlands to make room for the 35-inch. Why people take these out is to fit even bigger tires and have maximum clearance for suspension travel. I'm not putting 37s on. I'd like to, maybe in the spring, but for now I'll keep the 35s. It looks good. But I'm taking them out because they just don't look that great. You can only see the front, and when I put the new bumper on, you can see it sticking out in front of the tire, so it looks weird. So I took that one out. I guess I don't need to take this one out, but if I do put 37s in, maybe I'll just keep it for now. And if I ever do the 37s, I'll cut them out. It's a good idea. Okay, it's getting dark. It gets dark really quick now. So, just gonna show you. I added the brackets here. That replaces what was there before, which was this big plastic shroud. I've forwent cutting this off because I'll just do that if I get 37s. Otherwise, there's no need to right now. And then this is the new body mount. There was that big crash bar there before that I cut off. So now this just fits right over, and that's that. So we'll install that, and then the other side, and then finally I can put stuff together again. Before, after. The carnage of a shade tree mechanic. Looks like a bomb went off. Okay, while the sun's down, I'm just going to install these LEDs, Bronco LEDs. Pretty straightforward install. Place them, clip the wiring, and then once everything's back, you run the electrical. So you OCD like me, I've been dealing with all this steel bumpers and whatnot, the frames, torque wrenches. They've been really helpful for me, so I've been pretty good. But I snapped 2 of the clips that hold the back of the grill to the front of the grill while installing these lights. Oh well, at least it's all behind the grill. A little bit of Gorilla Glue will save the day. This is the last piece I had to come off. I had to take off this wiring harness that went to the adaptive cruise control. This is the lower shutters, active shutters. So I have to separate these 2 wires, because one is for the active shutters and one is for the adaptive cruise control. Now that the adaptive cruise control is going from here to up there, split these up, rewrap them in heat resistant tape, and now put things back together. Active shutters, the lower valence, lights, grill, bumper, skid plate, and I think it's a wiring after that. There's the beauty. Wheels are all torqued. Same with the body mounts. And I think that's it. We're putting her back together again. Okay, when installing the adaptive cruise control with the Bodyguard adapter, know that your wiring harness will probably touch a radiator, and make sure you plug in the wiring harness before attaching this to the bracket, because it gets kind of hard with all these little spacers and stuff to do it while it's on there, which I just did. So I separated the 2 cables, one going to the active shutters on the lower shutter valence, and then one going to the wiring harness into the car. Here's a tip. If you're taking off a lot of pieces, try to keep track of what goes with what. Trying to figure this out. It's taking a little longer than it should. A couple of things with the JKS Max Tire Clearance Kit. They had 2 brackets going in the back, but they don't reach the holes for putting in the fender liner again. So I don't know if that's a mistake or it's because it's a Badlands or what, but I'm going to be contacting them to find out what that it's about. As well as you don't have to reuse the stock skid plate mount, which I didn't realize, so I took those off again. That's these things here. They helped keep the intercooler up, which I've supported for now. So I took those off, but there's an added spacer that came with the JKS, so I don't know if that's going to interfere with the Fab 4 skid plate, but we'll see. And now it's time to try to lift this heavy thing with a bad back by myself. So for your entertainment, here it goes. look sturdy to you? Maybe too much of an ankle. Generally, I'm pretty resourceful, if not unsafe. But I can say without a doubt, there's no way to install this bumper by yourself. The bottom is angled, so I can't lift it in any safe way. Yeah, because it has to be flat while attaching it to the original bolt holes. That's for these suckers right here. So I don't know, I'm just gonna have to make some friends, I guess. Stay tuned. Everything else should go in place. I'm gonna put the grill on, and then another small little detail, the wiring for this bracket for the camera interferes with the brush guard, so I don't know what I'm gonna do about that, but that's later, I guess. Skid plate. Yeah, if I knew that the skid plate wouldn't overlap with the bumper, I guess I could install that, but I'm not sure if it does. I guess we'll have to do one more day, so stay tuned. Hold on, wait a minute. New idea. Let's see if this works.